We have a really good working relationship now. I'm very happy with the way things are going in the Eagles since we got back together, and in particular in the last 5 or 6 years.
Frey, the legendary co-founder of the Eagles, left an indelible mark on rock music. His life was filled with groundbreaking achievements, memorable melodies, and a relentless pursuit of musical excellence. But his journey also had its share of trials and tribulations. From his early days in Detroit to becoming a rock icon, this is the story of Glenn Frey's remarkable life and untimely death. Are you curious? Let's explore all of his tragic life in this video. Let's get started. Born on November 6, 1948, in Detroit, Michigan, Glenn Frey was drawn to music at an early age. Frey spent his childhood in the neighboring town of Royal Oak, where he was immediately enrolled in a gifted program due to his very bright mind. Among his many athletic pursuits was a stint on the wrestling squad. His charisma, extroversion, and good looks made him well liked by his contemporaries. In the middle of the 1960s, Frey excitedly became a part of the thriving Detroit music scene. He started off with piano instruction but eventually moved on to guitar, teaching himself the instrument in part because of an inspiration he had during a Beatles performance. He created the band Subterraneans while he was a student at Dondero High School. The name was taken from a novel by Jack Kerouac. In addition to peers Lenny Mintz, Doug Gunch, and Bill Barnes on guitar, as well as Jeff Hodge on bass, the band also featured classmates Doug Edwards on drums. After Frey graduated from Dondero in 1966, he became a member of Gary Burroughs' local band, The Four of Us, after Burroughs had seen him play with the Subterraneans. While performing with the band, Frey attended Oakland Community College, where he honed his harmony singing. He joined forces with Jeffrey Burroughs, brother of Gary Burroughs, Bill Barnes, Doug Gunch, Ken Bash, and Lenny Mintz to form the Mushrooms in 1967. In the same year, Frey crossed paths with Bob Seger, who facilitated his signing with the company Hideout Records, which was established by Seger's management group. The Mushrooms' debut single, Such a Lovely Child, was written and produced by Seger. The band used television appearances to promote the song. Frey wanted to join Seger's band, but his mom stopped him because of their cannabis use. With bassist Jeff Alborel, lead guitarist Paul Kelcourse, drummer Lance Dickerson, and keyboardist Jeff Burroughs, Frey created a second band in 1967, titled Heavy Metal Kids. Frey sang backup vocals and played acoustic guitar on Bob Seger's 1968 song Ramblin' Gambling Man when he was 19 years old. Seger greatly influenced Frey, encouraging him to focus on writing original songs. Their friendship continued over the years, with Frey contributing vocals to Seger's songs such as Fire Lake and Against the Wind. In Detroit, Frey dated Joan Sliwan of the Mama Cats, later known as Honey Ltd. When the group moved to California in 1968, Frey followed Joan to Los Angeles, where he met J.D. Souther through her sister, Alexandra Sliwan, who was dating Souther at the time. After briefly returning to Detroit, Frey went back to Los Angeles to form the duo Long Branch Pennywhistle with Souther. They signed with Amos Records and released an album in 1969, featuring Frey's compositions like Run Boy Run, Rebecca and Bring Back Funky Women, co-written with Souther. During this period, Frey also befriended Jackson Browne, and the three musicians shared an apartment building for a while. Frey later credited Browne with teaching him much about songwriting by listening to Browne work on songs in the apartment below. The guys began frequenting the Troubadour, a popular club among emerging rock musicians. One of the more successful regulars, Linda Ronstadt, took a liking to Frey and invited him to join her touring band in 1971. It was also at the Troubadour that Frey met Don Henley. Recognizing Henley's talent, Frey invited him to join Linda's touring band as well, but he had a bigger plan in mind, forming his own band with Henley. By this time, Long Branch Pennywhistle was over. David Geffen had signed both J.D. and Frey to his record company, but not as a duo. He had split them up, making J.D. a solo act and telling Frey he needed a band to be marketable. Meanwhile, Henley's group Shiloh was failing, and Henley was on the verge of returning to Texas. At this low point, Frey approached Henley, befriended him, and shared his plan, winning Henley over completely. With the help of Ronstadt and her manager, John Boylan, Frey also recruited Bernie Led and Randy Meisner, two other talented and respected members of Ronstadt's backup band. Frey presented this new group to Geffen, and soon they would be known as the Eagles, forever changing the rock and roll landscape. The Eagles rose to become one of the most successful bands of the decade and one of the best-selling groups in history. From their debut self-titled album Eagles, they consistently produced hits. This album was recorded in England over 2 weeks with producer Glyn Johns. Although Frey had some conflicts with John's strict, paternalistic approach, which included a no-drugs policy and limited input from band members, John's methods undeniably pushed them to use their time effectively. Their second album, Desperado, didn't achieve the same commercial success as their debut. However, its refined conceptual approach highlighted the evolving musical ideas of Frey and Henley. Over time, the album gained the recognition it deserved for its high quality and artistic depth. With their third album, On the Border, the Eagles solidified their status as household names with the hit, Best of My Love, penned by Frey, Henley, and Souther. Frey's journey to stardom was well underway. This period was exhilarating for the Eagles, but also marked by growing egos. Frey and Henley had established themselves as the band's power duo. They decided to shift towards a more rock-oriented sound, bringing in Don Felder and sidelining Bernie Leiden, who left in 1975 after the completion of their fourth album, One of These Nights. Leiden was replaced by Joe Walsh. Frey viewed One of These Nights as an album for his songwriting partnership with Henley. During this time, they lived together, spending countless hours drinking, jamming, and talking, which consistently resulted in great music. The Eagles achieved their commercial zenith with the immense success of Hotel California, a concept album exploring the disillusionment that accompanies the darker aspects of fame. The pressure to continually achieve higher sales with subsequent albums heightened the tensions within the band. Randy Meisner was the next to depart in 1977, leaving Frey and Henley as the only original members remaining. Timothy B. Schmidt, another former member of Poco, stepped in to fill Meisner's place. Amidst their soaring success, the Eagles' indulgences grew alongside their fame. Frey described their entourage on tour as a traveling party, with plentiful alcohol, groupies, and drugs aplenty, a lifestyle that continued long after the tours ended. Initially, it mirrored a hedonistic dream surpassing any Life magazine fantasy, but it took a toll. Frey's own drug use reached alarming levels, prompting a need for change, eventually quitting in the mid-80s. In 1978, he decided to settle down with Texas debutante Janie Beggs, stepping away from the carousel of women that defined his earlier years. Their marriage in 1983 marked a union of opposites, but by 1986, they divorced, often humorously referenced by Frey as plaintive, during live performances of song Lying Eyes. Changes were also brewing in his professional career. While conflicts had always simmered within the band, tensions reached a boiling point during the production of The Long Run. Tempers flared, fatigue set in, and relationships soured. Power struggles intensified across all band members, eroding the once unified front Frey and Henley had presented. Songwriting sessions ceased to be casual and enjoyable. They became battlegrounds of ego and competition. Frey reflected later that neither he nor Henley wanted to risk suggesting anything less than brilliant, turning their creative process into a strictly business affair. Meanwhile, Felder grew increasingly discontented as he felt his musical contributions were sidelined, seeing himself merely as a highly skilled session musician rather than an integral band member, a sentiment he often expressed to Frey and Henley. This dissatisfaction spilled over not only into the studio but also into mundane matters like ensuring equitable treatment such as hotel accommodations while on tour. Even Joe Walsh, initially enthusiastic and a newcomer to the band, began to share in Felder's frustration with Frey and Henley's leadership. By 1977, Joe had even discussed forming a new band with Randy and Felder, only to realize later that this idea was nothing more than idle talk, leaving him bitterly disappointed. Timothy Schmidt, who joined later, found himself caught in the middle of escalating conflicts within the band, expressing sadness over the turmoil he inherited upon replacing Randy. Frey endeavored to maintain harmony for a while. As the band's primary decision-maker, he shouldered the responsibility of ensuring smooth operations and managing egos, albeit unsuccessfully. He admitted to trying to subordinate himself to ease tensions and enhance productivity, yet the effort proved futile. Eventually, the strain became overwhelming. Frey described feeling like he was trapped in a daily routine akin to school, dreading each morning's start. The once fulfilling process of creating music had devolved into prolonged and angst-ridden recording sessions for the long run, transforming from a passion into burdensome duty. He questioned whether dedicating all his energy and creativity to this endeavor was worthwhile in the long run. While the Eagles could continue indefinitely, Frey pondered if years of viewing his work as a chore would drain all enjoyment from it. A solo career increasingly appealed to him as an alternative path. Frey had been contemplating leaving the Eagles for some time, but it was a challenging benefit performance for California Senator Alan Cranston on July 31st, 1980 that ultimately pushed him over the edge. Tensions that had been simmering beneath the surface erupted into public view when Felder expressed his indifference towards Cranston at a press conference prior to the show. Enraged, Frey confronted Felder backstage before they took the stage, leading to a heated exchange of threats throughout the entire concert. Frey recalled the intense moment on stage where Felder provocatively remarked, "Only 3 more songs, till I kick your ass, pal," to which Frey defiantly responded. Despite performing Best of My Love outwardly, inside both men were seething with animosity, knowing a confrontation was inevitable. After the show, the conflict escalated into a physical altercation between Frey and Felder, solidifying Frey's decision to leave the band. Shortly after, he called Henley to inform him of his departure. Although Henley was devastated and surprised by the abrupt end of the Eagles, he understood Frey's resolve and had no desire to continue without him. Thus, with that phone call, the era of the Eagles came to an unceremonious and definitive close. After branching out on his own, collaborated closely with Jack Temchin, known for co-writing Eagles hits like Already Gone and Peaceful Easy Feeling, he embarked on his solo career with the release of No Fun Allowed in 1982, rediscovering the joy in his musical journey. Hits like The One You Love and I Found Somebody solidified his solo artist status, while Smuggler's Blues in 1984 brought him attention from Miami Vice's creators, leading to a role as a pilot for Smugglers on the show. This marked a significant rise in Frey's visibility as a solo artist. His career peaked with The Heat Is On and You Belong to the City, 2 of his most recognizable songs released during this period. Recognizing Frey's acting talent, movie and TV producers sought him out for roles. He starred in Let's Get Harry and had a notable arc on Wise Guy. Despite starring in his own TV series South of Sunset in 1993, the show didn't succeed, leading Frey to lose interest in acting. Instead, he refocused on music, his enduring passion. In 1988, he released Soul Searching, featuring the top 40 hit True Love, though health issues prevented him from touring extensively, except for guest appearances with the Little River Band in Australia. In the early 90s, he released Strange Weather, accompanied by a video and live album. Though overshadowed by grunge at the time, the album's strong material remains a testament to Frey's artistry and continues to resonate today. In the late 80s and early 90s, Frey experienced significant changes in his life, starting with a newfound dedication to fitness. In 1986, a severe bout of diverticulitis landed him in the hospital, prompting him to overhaul his lifestyle. He quit drugs and embraced a rigorous workout routine, resulting in a noticeably toned physique. His transformation was so impressive that a gym even approached him for advertisements. His song Living Right became a personal anthem of sorts, and while filming its video, he met dancer Cindy, whom he married in 1990. They welcomed their first child, Taylor, in 1991, followed by sons Deacon and Otis in the years to come. His growing family gave Frey a fresh perspective on life. These personal changes paralleled a shift in his professional outlook. Initially adamant that the Eagles were finished after their split in 1980, Frey began to reconsider a reunion by the early 90s. Though he was hesitant, and a 1990 attempt fell through due to scheduling conflicts and personal issues among the band members, his attitude was softening. Content in his domestic life, he felt no rush to return to the band's grueling dynamics. However, rumors persisted, especially after Frey and Joe Walsh toured together in 1993 as the Party of Two. The turning point came in 1994 when the Eagles reunited for Travis Tritt's Take It Easy video. The camaraderie and fun they experienced rekindled Frey's interest, and he agreed to the Hell Freezes Over project. To his surprise, the reunion was a monumental success. The album, TV special, video, and tour proved that the Eagles still had immense appeal and sounded better than ever, more focused and sober than in their heyday. Although the tour was briefly halted due to Frey's recurring diverticulitis, requiring part of his intestine to be removed, he bounced back and completed the tour with determination. After the tour concluded in 1996, Frey set aside his solo career. Despite the absence of immediate plans for the Eagles, he remained active, taking on acting roles such as Arizona Cardinal owner Dennis Wilburn in Jerry Maguire later that year and appearing on Nash Bridges in 1997. In 1998, Frey ventured into the business side of music, co-founding Mission Records with attorney Peter Lopez. He participated in various benefits, including Tiger Woods' Tiger Jam charity concert with the Eagles in 1998 and as a solo act for the next 2 years. The late 90s were significant for the Eagles, as they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1998 and named the Artists of the Century by the Recording Industry Association of America in 1999. Their greatest hits 1971 to 1975 album was recognized as the best-selling album in music history. The Hall of Fame induction was particularly memorable, featuring the only performance where all 7 current and former Eagles members played together. These landmark performances of Take It Easy and Hotel California were not the last. In 1999, Frey rejoined the Eagles with Felder, Walsh, Schmidt, and Henley for Millennium Celebrations in Los Angeles. The Eagles' lineup changed again shortly after these performances when Felder was dismissed. Frey and Henley viewed Felder as a disruptive presence, leading to his firing and a subsequent acrimonious lawsuit, which was settled in 2006. Instead of hiring a replacement, Frey opted for a backup musician, Stuart Smith, to fill out their sound during concerts and recordings. As a quartet, the Eagles embarked on the Millennium Tour in 2000 to 2001 and later the Farewell I Tour in 2003, which produced a DVD. This tour evolved into the California Tour in 2005, where they continued to sell out shows across California, maintaining their success without extensive travel, except for a brief stint in Hawaii. For a while, it seemed this might be the end, as Frey spoke about the fitting nature of concluding their journey in California, where it all began. All throughout the globe, Eagles fans were overjoyed to hear that their beloved band was far from done. In early 2006, after a short break, the Eagles got back to touring. Along with recording Long Road Out of Eden, the band's first studio album in almost 25 years, Frey also did a number of solo performances in July 2006. The Eagles' continued supremacy was validated by the fact that this double album, a significant offering, debuted at number 1. I Dreamed There Was No War, an instrumental by Glenn, was named Best Pop Instrumental Performance, and the album as a whole was well received by critics. Over the subsequent years, the Eagles embarked on a string of concerts in promotion of the record. In 2011, during this time, Frey released After Hours, his first solo album since the 1990s. It included his parents' favorite classic music covers among its original title tune and other tracks. Frey visited both Australia and the US as part of her record tour. In 2013, the Eagles published a biography of the band titled History of the Eagles. To promote it, the band embarked on a massive global tour, with Bernie Leadon returning for some performances. There was more synergy in the band than before. Concurrent with the Eagles' acceptance of the esteemed Kennedy Center Awards in 2015, the tour came to a close that summer. Beyond his professional life, Frey devoted himself entirely to his family. "My first commitment is to them," he said. A golfing enthusiast, he went on to win several celebrity and pro-am events. To support organizations that work specifically with children, Glenn took part in benefit tournaments that raised money for things like the Children's Christian Fund, the Aspen Youth Experience, leukemia research, and prevention of child abuse. Following surgery to address intestinal problems that had plagued Frey since the 1980s, he was put into a medically induced coma in November 2015. But he had a harder time getting well since his rheumatoid arthritis medicine had a negative impact on his immune system, making him more susceptible to pneumonia. When added to his severe ulcerative colitis, it became intolerable for his body. Tragically, Glenn Frey left our world on January 18, 2016. His impact on so many lives will ensure that his legacy endures. His voice, his melodies, and his songs will live on forever in the hearts of those who loved his music. Do you think so? If yes, please comment one below to let us know. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more stories about the legends of rock. See you next time.